So glad you're with us here for All Things Considered. And stick around because in mere moments, we're headed to Marketplace. Coming up later tonight at 8 o'clock, it's On Point. We'll hear from physician and writer Siddhartha Mukherjee about how our understanding of cancer has advanced over the past 15 years and also what lies ahead. That's On Point. It happens at 8 o'clock tonight. We invite you to stick around for that if you're headed out and about. We also invite you to download our app because you can listen live there anytime. 29 degrees, steady temperatures overnight tonight with a clear sky.
WNYC receives support from Bottle Rocket Wine and Spirit, offering holiday wine, spirit, and cocktail recommendations. Personal consultations are available. More at bottlerocket.com or in-store on 19th Street near 5th Avenue.
If you believe democracy requires a free press, your station is WNYC, 93.9 FM and AM 820, NPR News and the New York Conversation.
Marketplace is supported by Wealth Enhancement, offering its Wealth Blueprint, a plan integrating retirement, investing, tax strategies, and more. Learn more at wealthenhancement.com/blueprint.
The word of the day today is portmanteau. Two words combined into one. What's that? Use it in a sentence? Sure. How's this? What we've got here is a meh-economy. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Yubico, makers of the YubiKey, protecting the applications and accounts that people and businesses rely on every day. YubiKey helps stop phishing attempts and hackers. YubiKey, still undefeated, the original passkey. More at yubico.com. And by JumpCloud, simplifying IT through its intelligent, unified AI-backed platform that securely connects users to any resource from any device anywhere. JumpCloud, helping organizations prepare for AI acceleration. And by Odoo, dedicated to providing software designed to scale with businesses. Odoo's programs for manufacturing, accounting, and more aim to provide building blocks for creating a custom software suite. Odoo, what businesses need.
In Los Angeles, I'm Kai Rizdal. It is Tuesday today, the 16th of December. Good as always to have you along, everybody. Meh and economy. Meh-economy. Get it? I confess here that it's not my original thought. I saw it someplace this morning. I would credit you if I remembered where. But it is kind of apt, no, given today's November and partial October jobs report. 4.6% is the unemployment rate, the highest it's been in more than 4 years, and the latest sign that the U.S. labor market just keeps slowing down. That 4.6%, by the by, is up from an even 4% at the start of this year. The thing is, it's not happening because people are losing their jobs left and right. Marketplace's Daniel Ackerman explains what's going on.
Amanda Augustine is a career coach with Career Minds, and she says many of her new clients have been out of work for months now.
It's a lot of people who have been unemployed for quite some time who are now saying, well, whatever I've been doing is clearly not working. I need some extra help.
She says employers aren't laying off a ton of people. There's been no spike in first-time unemployment claims. Firms are just reluctant to hire.
Even the interview process takes a longer time.
And so the share of people seeking jobs just keeps climbing. And one reason for the uptick in November's unemployment rate was workforce re-entry, says Tuan Nguyen, an economist with RSM.
Meaning that they were people on the sideline rejoining the market again.
And he says workforce re-entry can be tough to interpret. It could mean people are more confident in their ability to land a job, or it could mean more people feel they have no choice but to land a job, says Ron Hetrick, an economist with the labor data firm Lightcast.
So these were people who were spouses of people or family members. They didn't need to work, and then the primary person loses their job. So these people re-enter the labor force.
And then there's the stuff that the headline unemployment rate just doesn't capture. Hetrick says the number of part-time workers who'd rather be full-time is at the highest level since March of 2021.
That's a pretty big deal. That's a sign of economic stress.
And it's one reason the unemployment rate isn't always the best indicator of what it feels like to be in the labor market, says Sarah Foster, an economic analyst with Bankrate. She says even though 4.6% isn't sky high compared to the long-term average,
people who want a job, who are stuck at a position that they don't like, want to change something about their job circumstances, this is not an easy labor market for them.
She says anxiety is being felt by workers and would-be workers alike. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
So let's talk about where people are getting jobs. Pretty much the only industries that are doing a decent amount of hiring right now are healthcare and social assistance. 64,000 new jobs in November. But as Marketplace's Samantha Fields reminds us, past performance is no guarantee of future results.
If it weren't for healthcare and social assistance, hiring would have been totally flat last month.
Healthcare is really the last remaining reliable source of jobs growth for today's job market.
Daniel Zhao at Glassdoor says that's been true for much of this year.
There have been multiple months where all other industries have actually lost jobs, whereas healthcare has continued to steadily add jobs.
The industry tends to be resilient, even in recessions. People always need healthcare, no matter what's happening in the economy. And these days, Alex Jaquez at the Groundwork Collaborative says need is growing.
The baby boomer population, a very large segment of the overall population, is aging. And what we know about aging is that it comes for all of us, and you use more healthcare as you get older.
That's good for anyone looking for a job in the field. But even though there is plenty of hiring going on in healthcare and social assistance, Kate Bond at the Institute for Women's Policy Research says there's not quite as much now as there was a year or two ago.
It is adding fewer jobs each month while the overall labor market is also slowing down. So it's a little concerning.
And there's more to be concerned about looking ahead, according to Andrew Stetner at the Century Foundation, with the enhanced subsidies for ACA insurance expiring and Medicaid cuts looming.
Few people will have health insurance next year. So that means, some of this robust growth in healthcare, we're seeing it flatten out.
And the biggest cuts to Medicaid won't even phase in for another year or so.
So there's some real risks to healthcare jobs over the next few years. It really is going to be negative for people's health.
And he says for the economy. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
Wall Street today, I do not know what to tell you. Traders didn't seem much to mind what we learned about the U.S. labor market. We will have the details when we do the numbers. A year and a half or so ago, we spent some time reporting on broadband internet, trying to figure out how the Biden administration's $42 billion Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, the BEAD program, that was supposed to connect every home in this economy to high-speed internet by 2030, we wanted to figure out how it was going to work on the ground. Things have changed since then, obviously, with the arrival of the second Trump term. But back then, fiber was the priority. So we went to McKee, Kentucky, population 800, a town that was way ahead of the government's broadband goal, thanks in very large measure to the People's Rural Telephone Cooperative, where Keith Gabbard is the CEO. Mr. Gabbard, it's good to talk to you again. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be on.
So it's been a year and a half-ish since we were out there in McKee. First of all, how are you and how's business at the People's Rural Telephone Cooperative there?
Well, I'm doing well, and our company, is very, very, very busy, and that's a good problem to have. We are building fiber in several surrounding counties, and we're just staying really busy, and that's a good problem to have.
How are you doing this expanding? I remember when we were out there, we talked about how government financing, government loans have been critical to you and your operations and the growth and in fact, the company's existence at all. I imagine that's still sort of a key thing for you?
It is. And, of course, we were applying for some things when you were here before, but we're just finishing up a project in USDA Reconnect 2. And then we've just now finally got environmental permitting done for Reconnect 4. And we just started the project last month in adjoining county. And that's a huge project. It's about a $20 million, $19 million, 200-mile project. We're trying to, look for every bit of possible help we can get. Most of these are part loan, part grant.
Right.
But we're trying to provide good broadband to these folks.
When we were out there, Mr. Gabbard, we were talking about BEAD funding, right? The Broadband Equity Access Program and how that was working. And obviously, times have changed in government support for this kind of thing. The Trump administration is not so much in favor of whatever the Biden administration was doing. How has that affected you, and what would you say the results of the BEAD program were for you?
Well, we did apply for some BEAD funding. We got very little. I think we've been provisionally awarded like 78 locations that I'm not sure if we're even going to accept it or not, because they're not going to pay the proportion that we originally applied for. But I think the BEAD program is really missing out on opportunity. $42 billion to get most people fiber. And of course, I'm prejudiced. Fiber is what we do. Mm-hmm. But it looks like the emphasis is not on fiber anymore. It's on some fiber, some fixed wireless, and a whole lot of satellite.
Well, let's talk about that satellite for a minute. Starlink, Elon Musk's outfit, and it's not uncontroversial, let's say, right? To pull all this money into a private company and then take money away from the folks on the ground.
Well, personally, I think it's a bad move. But we've got a lot of poverty here, a lot of need. I think everybody deserves quality broadband. I just think taking money away from people that really need it and, essentially giving it to the richest man in the world just doesn't make sense to me. But what do I know? I'm not a politician. I'm just a guy trying to provide a service here.
What you've been doing, we should point out here, for a very long time. Explain for us, would you, Mr. Gabbard, what fiber has let McKee and Jackson County, what it has let people there do and become?
Well, our initial fiber was we built fiber to every home and business in the two counties we serve, Jackson and Owsley, and just really made a big difference in the quality of life here and continues to. Work from home is a huge thing here. We have people buying property from all over the country and moving here. I'm not saying it's just because of fiber broadband, but that is a factor, and they like, being out in the country where you've been here. Mm-hmm. A lot of trees here, not a lot of people, but a lot of folks like that. And everybody don't have to leave to find a job, and that's most of my life. That seemed to be everybody's goal. In order to get a good job, make good money, they had to leave the community, and that's something we'd love to. Everybody don't have to. There's still plenty going to want to, and that's fine. I just don't want everybody to have to.
Yeah. You've been doing this, as I said, I think it's been 50 years now. You're 70-something years old, right?
Yeah, 71. I've been at the company almost 50 years.
How much longer are you sticking around, sir?
I told them I'm at least staying around till the end of next year. And then there are days when we are doing something that I find is so rewarding and helping people. It makes me want to stay, but just thankful to be working for a place that's, I think, doing good things for our community.
I hear that.
And surrounding communities.
I hear that. Keith Gabbard, he's the longtime CEO of the People's Rural Telephone Cooperative out in McKee, Kentucky. Mr. Gabbard, thanks for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
While most of us are still working our way through what President Trump's tariffs are going to do to this economy, and by most of us, I mean the Fed, I mean businesses big and small, and everyday consumers too, the advertising industry is apparently not feeling so bad. WPP Media, which is sort of a data marketing advertising conglomerate, is projecting global ad revenue is going to hit almost $1.2 trillion this year. A big chunk of that is in a slice of the advertising game called retail media, brands paying retailers to highlight their products to that retailer's customers. WPP Media says retail media is going to top $190 billion next year. Marketplace Carl Javier has more on that one.
Let's say you want to buy some shoes online. You search, get a bunch of options. Some of them are probably sponsored. That's retail media, says Luke Stillman at Madison & Wall, an advisory and consulting firm to the advertising industry.
A lot of those are showing up at the top because those brands paid the most.
He says even if consumers say they're worried about the economy, they're still spending, so advertisers are too. Madison and Wall forecasts that next year, digital ads will be led by retail media,
which we expect to grow by 16%. And most of that is Amazon and Walmart and other big retailers who have launched advertising businesses.
Getting customers' attention when they are actively trying to buy something means return on this type of ad spending can be quite substantial, says Jeremy Goldman at eMarketer.
2 to 1 or 4 to 1, 200% to 400%, sometimes even higher.
As for retailers selling this ad opportunity, he says they can tell brands
it's probably a good idea to not just sell on our website, but also to have a retail media spend.
Meaning they get to charge companies twice. This year, retail media was so prevalent that Kate Scott Dawkins with WPP Media says globally,
that bucket of ad revenue will actually be larger than global TV.
That includes traditional TV and streaming. However, she says retail players could potentially see visits to their sites diminish.
If more of the consumer purchase journey shifts to AI and chatbot-based conversations.
If that happens, she says retail media could lose some of its share and gains from the last several years. I'm Carla Javier for Marketplace.
Coming up.
I don't think I've ever seen a job ad that said English degree required.
You might just be right about that. First, though, let's do the numbers. Dow Industrials down 302 points today, 0.6%, 48,114. The Nasdaq gained 54 points. That's about 0.25%, 23,111. The S&P 500 down 16 points, 0.25%, 6,800 on the nose. Pfizer expects a big drop in revenue next year from its COVID-19 products alone. That's vaccines and antivirals. The pharma company expects to make $1.5 billion less in 26 than it did this year. Pfizer down 3.4% today. COVID vaccine competitor Moderna slipped to 10%. DoorDash has a new restaurant finding app in New York and San Francisco. Zesty, it's called. Uses AI to aggregate maps and social media and menus to help people figure out where they want to eat. DoorDash rose 0.4% today. Yelp, the app that's been delivering restaurant reviews since 2004, dipped about 0.1%. Bonds up, yield on the 10-year T-note down 4.14%. You're listening to Marketplace.
The Numbers is supported by Odoo.com, your entire business on one platform. Marketplace is supported by Copilot Money. With spending spread across multiple cards, bank accounts, and subscriptions, Copilot Money brings everything together in one organized view automatically. Learn more at copilot.money. And by the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to raising awareness and accelerating action on America's fiscal challenges to build a brighter economic future for the next generation. Learn more at pgpf.org. And by Revenued, providing working capital for businesses whose cash flow is holding them back. Revenued approves businesses based on revenue, not credit, with funds approved and available in a day. More at getrevenued.com.
Whatever you're doing this holiday season, make it special with glorious music on the WQXR Classical Holiday Channel. You'll hear carols, sacred music, wintertime favorites. Anytime you need a splash of holiday cheer, listen at our sister station, WQXR.org, or find it on the WNYC app.
WNYC is supported by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, offering community solar, focusing on providing solar benefits to low and moderate income households. More at nj.gov/BPU.
Glad you're with us for Marketplace here on WNYC. We'll have more of All Things Considered headed your way next hour, including my conversation with WNYC's Elizabeth Kim about Mayor Adams' press conference today touting his legacy. That's on the way after 7, so stay with us.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Ryssdal. You can rent a vacation home on an app. You can rent a car on an app. And you can rent clothes and more on apps as well. That's not new, that last bit. Rent the Runway has been around for 15 years. But there is a demographic slice of this thing that's becoming a thing. Amanda Hoover wrote about it at Business Insider. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Would you tell me, please, how you came to this story? Did you just look around one day and said, where are all these people getting all these clothes?
Well, I guess it started even 2 years ago when I first started getting targeted ads for Nuuly. I had a wedding coming up where I was a guest and I wanted to wear something nice and fun and appropriate. And ever since then, I noticed some of the clothes seeming to appear on Instagram. I was like, oh, I recognize those things. And then I started getting more and more ads for other companies. And the more I thought about this and realized how much my friends were talking about it, I was like, this is not just a one-off. It's really shifting and changing how people are thinking about shopping and treating themselves and fashion and getting to try new things.
Right, and not just clothes, as we'll get to in a minute. You mentioned Nuuly. There are other apps, BNTO, and Pickle is another one. It's probably, do you pronounce the BNTO or is it Bento? I mean, what do you do?
I think it's Bento.
All right.
I didn't hear it said out loud, though. So
Okay, well,
that's not what I've heard people
somebody
say.
will write in and tell us, and then we'll both know. Anyway, Tell us about these apps. I mean, it's your standard sort of Airbnb-ish, Uber-ish kind of thing, right?
Yeah, in a way. Pickle is a little bit different where you're renting peer-to-peer from another individual's closet. The way that like Nuuly works, it's like Rent the Runway where they have a warehouse, full of all of these options. It's kind of like thrifting clothes. It's not permanent. It definitely, I think, stems from the relationship that we've started to have in this like sharing economy over the past 15 years.
Although, as you point out in this piece, it's one thing to sit in the back of somebody's car. It's another one to wear their clothes.
Yeah, I do think things that have been around longer, like Uber and Airbnb, there's a reason more people have tried those. Some people don't like to thrift clothes still. And I think it is kind of generational. We see a lot of Gen Z, millennials especially, really thinking that thrifting is cool. And for people that are concerned about the environmental impact or the exploitation of workers in the fast fashion industry, it becomes like a moral imperative to try to get things secondhand or get the most life out of them as possible.
Right, for sure. And then that's what drives that consuming habit. Just to be clear here, and you alluded to it earlier, Nuuly is owned by Urban Outfitters, right? A big, big company. And so that gives them, sort of they can curate better. They have economies of scale and all those kinds of things, which is different than Pickle.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's scaling more in the way that they have to have enough people in that city, in that area, who are interested in renting to essentially their peers. But they're growing very rapidly. And I actually spoke to one woman in her 20s who rents out clothing on Pickle and made like $25,000 in the past year. And I don't think any of us really look at our closets and think that there's that much value in there.
Right. And she's got it down. I mean, the way you describe it is, she spends a couple hours a week, mailing and washing and all this jazz, and boom, $25,000 later, she's got some real money.
Yeah. And I do think it's people who love fashion and are interested in it. So I don't know how much it feels like labor versus a lucrative hobby, perhaps, for some who are really successful in this.
Yeah. As always, it seems when this kind of story comes around, there is the social media aspect of this. There is we're going to get this outfit and we're going to post it. And it's not about buying it. It's about being seen in it.
Yeah, I guess it probably depends person to person, but I can totally see how that would play out. And I think there's been people probably always who maybe wanted to make sure they weren't seen in the same thing at all of the weddings of their friends. But now it's not just, the people who went to this wedding can't see me in the same dress. It becomes even like everyone's seen that on social media. And it's an incentive beyond the event that they're attending.
Totally. Amanda Hoover at Business Insider. Amanda, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We saw in this morning's jobs report that in the month of November, the unemployment rate for people in this economy ages 20 to 24 was 8.3%. Overall, just by way of reminder, 4.6%. It's no secret that a lot of the jobs that are going to be threatened by artificial intelligence are those entry-level jobs younger people get, specifically jobs in the white-collar workplace. Think jobs that involve coding, maybe, things like that. That uncertainty has more young people turning now to blue-collar work. From KUOW's podcast Booming, Monica Nicholsberg has more on that one.
Brendan Hancock is about to graduate for the second time. The 40-year-old says his English degree from a traditional four-year college didn't amount to the stable career he was looking for.
I don't think I've ever seen a job ad that said English degree required.
So he took a gig teaching English overseas in Ukraine and Asia. But
the type of teaching I was doing, it was really inconsistent, and my schedule could be horrible at times.
So he decided to start over.
Going back to university when I had already been to university and not gotten a career out of it wasn't very appealing.
Instead, he chose an electrician apprenticeship program about an hour north of Seattle. This time around, Hancock gets paid while he's studying and working, and he's guaranteed a job when he graduates.
I'd like to continue the work I've been doing. Who knows what'll happen down the line as far as being a foreman or specializing more.
Hancock is one of many job seekers turning to the skilled trades for a sense of stability at a time when paying for college is starting to feel like a risky bet. Apprenticeship programs are growing steadily across the U.S. Enrollment in two-year trade-focused college programs increased almost 20% since 2020, according to the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center.
I think we're actually probably on par for this to be a record-breaking year.
Ryan Brad is the training director at another electrician school near Seattle. He said in the past few years, he's seeing a lot more young people choose the trades straight out of high school.
They're cognizant and they're aware that the labor market is shifting. And they're definitely questioning the value of a college degree in today's labor market.
That shift is showing up at Seattle Public Schools, where a pre-apprenticeship track prepares students to go into the building trades. The first two programs are completely full. Coordinator Jay Connolly says the district is opening a third location to meet demand.
As the programs become more popular, I'm getting more middle-class kids with white-collar parents who are asking a lot of questions like, is this smart? Or really want me to understand that their child would be perfectly capable of succeeding in a four-year college.
You know, the type of parents who want everyone to know their kid could go to college, but is choosing not to. It just goes to show what a bad rap trade school developed in the 90s. It was a time when most students were pushed toward a college prep education. And college used to seem like a simple deal. Invest up front, get a good job later. But that turned out to be a broken promise for some graduates, including Chris Reed.
For me personally, the time and investment that I put into that didn't end up working out.
He couldn't find a job that made use of his sociology degree. So when he graduated right before the Great Recession, he started working at a bike shop.
I was just told that that's what I was supposed to do, and if I did that, it'd lead to a good job. But me and pretty much everybody I knew didn't have jobs when we got out of college.
Now he's studying to become an electrician near Seattle, and he's hoping that with the data center building boom, the new career path will have more prospects. In Seattle, I'm Monica Nicholsberg for Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Solidigm. Today's AI ambitions require a different approach to storage. Solidigm offers solid-state storage solutions optimized for AI with higher capacities, greater speed, and energy efficiency. StorageForAI.com. And by Total Wine and More, offering wines, beers, and spirits for holiday gatherings throughout the season. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
This final note on the way out today, we used to track this a lot more closely than we have of late, but we would be remiss not to mention it today. The unemployment rate for Black Americans last month in this economy, 8.3%. Jordan Manji, Sunil Maharaj, Janet Wynn, Olga Oxman, and Virginia K. Smith are the digital team. I'm Kai Rizdal. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is AP.